This is a response video to a video made by Chen about a male feminist site called the Good Men Project. The link to it is in the description below. Check it out to get an idea about what is happening here in the response video. You may check it out after this video and everything would still make sense then too. Speaking to Chen, now that's what I'm talking about. Epic video, with you solo, just like the old times. Great coverage. There is a thing though. You have no idea how men look like when they are not holding themselves back. They become the worst of animals and you will be afraid then. We are scary. If we are not inducing self-control around women dramatically, women would always feel like we are about not just to rape her but rape and kill her. We shouldn't act by our nature here, but we should control ourselves greatly. The difference is that there are men who believe this is the right thing to do around females, and there are men who don't believe that but they do this anyway because they have no choice but to force themselves to an act that would appeal to women and not drive females away from themselves, or they are just avoiding being criminalized and punished by the law or the law enforcement. You are really taking men acting gently around women to make her feel safe, secure, and not threatened for granted because you haven't seen otherwise. To get a glimpse of what I am saying, try hanging out with men in a location that is like 200 miles away from civilization alone, desert, prison, primitive community without law enforcement or any law ... etc. And if you didn't feel that they are not bound by any natural law or artificial invented law, and that they do their worst unchecked, tell me. Shocking to know that men are just being nice because civilization and societal norms are holding them back from succumbing to their savage nature. Except extremely rarely when someone is good regardless of where he is. Husbands don't beat their wives because they live in the West. If they travel to some country outside the West that doesn't criminalize domestic violence, they would happily beat their wives for no reason, just because they feel like it or they are in a bad mood or their wives don't obey them. This is why laws exist and are important. Few are those who are really civilized, and they keep trying to spread that mentality among other men who just deceive women to get laid. It is not extreme feminists who are like that, it is those who claim they are good despite not being feminists. Internalized misogyny is based upon the belief that men are supposed to be strong or else they would be bad men, but women are worse than the weakest of men, so women are inferior and weak by default, like a coward gender, that men dominate out of anger, hatred, and revenge. It is like they are punishing women because women have a giving up mentality, while men are meant to keep pushing themselves against all odds regardless, or else they would be shamed for not being masculine or manly enough. This is internalized misogyny and it requires fighting to eradicate, by establishing that it is not that women are a bad gender, but because of the way women were treated in the past they have adopted that inferior mentality, although women can and are supposed to be exactly like men in everything. We see this in science fiction of advanced species where women are not missing anything. We can imagine that and it is not impossible. It is not found in our society because of bad environmental influence. Not because of women's biology. I have been noticing for long that a lot of the advancement that was made in the past about regarding women like men as a living organism, a person, and an individual, is being destroyed by attacking third-wave feminism because of the supposed exaggerated or fake pay gap or wage gap between men and women, and other trivial stuff, without anyone caring to establish what the truth about the matter is besides stating yes, I believe men are equal to women, or worse, I am an egalitarian. It is just about shutting up social justice warriors, not about saying what should the case about women's equality with men should entirely look like in full detail. No one is caring to explain that here we are not just giving the right to work, political representation, the right to own property, the right to be free, or the right to be responsible for one's own life to the inferior women as if we are just giving those rights to children under 15 years old. But it is about understanding that women are not missing anything that men have. Not just equality in the application of law or in civil rights or any rights. But equality as a human being and equality as a living or organism, person, and individual. This is why third-wave feminists are complaining that sexism is leading women to be less found in STEM than men. All men are misogynistic, and all men are part of rape culture. Some men are dramatically stronger than others, and you, as a man, would feel really threatened just talking from a distance to one of them. Some women can be physically stronger than a lot of men. Just because men are generally physically stronger than women doesn't mean that men own women, should dominate women, are superior to women, are better than women in any way, should act as the bodyguards of women, or should be the slave owners of the women who are all meant to be slaves of men. What matters about humans or higher living organisms isn't their physical strength. It is their intelligence, and that is not something related to your gender. It is related to the individual only. Even thinking that you are supposed to be extra careful when dealing with women because they are too emotional or irrational is sexist and shouldn't be your attitude toward women or females, and that is what the latest feminism is about, regardless of its mistakes in some areas, like the non-existent pay gap. Gender equality as a concept is about you believing that you should treat a woman as if she is a man or as if she is without gender or asexual, like bacteria asexual not agender humans, without treating her differently because she is a female. You wouldn't have treated her any differently if she were a male. How many males are like that in our society? Too few. And that is why the West is called having rape culture, or men in the West are part of rape culture or the rape culture problem. If you love a woman, then she is yours like personal property, a source of non-stop pleasure, or like a slave whether she likes it or not, or else you would consider yourself to be a weak or a beta male.